this digital platform initiative taken by Gitanjali Public School. So actually in the previous video that I uploaded for resource and development for class 10, already on that class I have discussed about the learning in outcomes. What do you learn after the chapter? After that I have discussed also how resources formed. So today we are going to discuss about the classification of resources. In the previous class you can see for the formation of resource there are three factors. One diagram was there, three factors were there: nature, technology and institution. So on that case these three factors are the main important and they are interdependent. So as there is a variation in this factor, there are different types of resources are available in our environment. So accordingly in a one region we get this kind of resource, and some resources are very different from another resource. So accordingly so there is a variation in the resources. So that's why we are going to classify the resources that are available in environment. So that how can we classify? As you know that to classify anything else we need some indicator, we need some basis. Okay, suppose you are going to classify all the students present in a class. So I have to take some indicator, just like maybe a height, maybe a gender. Accordingly I can classify. Similarly here also to classify the resources I have to take some basis. So first actually I have taken this basis. Okay, so first number one, it is on the basis of origin. On the basis of origin of resources we can classify the resources into two categories: biotic resource and abiotic resource. Biotic resource means which resources we are getting from the living world, living things, just like the example is given: forest, fisheries. Okay, and abiotic, that is totally opposite, which resource we get from the non-living things, just like the example is rocks, minerals. So this is very basic classification according to the origin, means from where we get the resource with the help of technology. So biotic and abiotic, it is very easy to classify. Okay, it is very easy to also make one comparison between biotic and abiotic. So this is very important question, also sometimes comes in exam, so we note it. So difference between biotic and abiotic resource. Next, on the basis of exhaustibility. On the basis of exhaustibility means when we develop one resource, after that we start to use it. Okay, so after using, some resources will be finished. Okay, and some resource will get again. So that's why we are going to classify on the basis of exhaustibility two types. One is renewable resource and another is a non-renewable resource. Renewable, what is? Renewable means after using, again we actually get in our environment, in our nature, that is renewable. From the word you can also see renewable. Re plus renewable means which resource we can generate again in our nature. So that is called renewable. Just like water. As you know, water actually comes from atmosphere, but before that it goes from ocean, from hydrosphere. After that actually goes to atmosphere, then comes again to our lithosphere through the water cycle. So in such way, which resource we get again in our environment, that is called renewable resource. Solar energy also, forest also, if you cut forest, again forest will grow. So that is called renewable resource. Non-renewable, which resource actually after using that will be finished, and to form that resource it will take a very long time in our geological scale. So that is called non-renewable resource, like fossil fuels, coal, petroleum. So after using it you will not get again. As you know how coal is formed, how petroleum is formed. So on that case to form this resource it takes a very long geological time. So that's why it is called non-renewable resources. So is it clear? So there will be again a question. There is a difference between renewable and non-renewable resource. So renewable, it is renewable means it will come again, but non-renewable it will not come again, and it is just ongoing process in the environment through the different biogeochemical cycle. So that is not through the biogeochemical process. And you can put one example. As per our CBSE marking scheme, okay, when you are going to write any difference, you may put 3 points for 3 marks, and then you will get 3 marks. For that you put also example is a point. Okay, so example is also considered 1 point. As I have also given done duty to 2 years in that CBSE copy checking, so I also got the same instruction from CBSE. You can also go through. Next point, on the basis of ownership. we know that it is your property. Sometimes you also claim that it is my property, so it is national property. So many types of words we see also in news and audio and everywhere. So that's why some ownership is there of particular resource. So accordingly we are going to classify the resources. Ownership means your actually claimness is there. Okay. So first is individual. Individual means which resource is for only your claiming it. You can claim on that resource actually. Suppose your house, your land. Okay. So that type of resources are called individual resource. Means only one person can claim this is my resource. This is my pen. Okay. So that is an individual resource. So example is your house. Community resource. Community means sometimes one resource is allotted for a particular community. Okay, already in history also you have read some common places are kept for the village. So the all villagers actually use that resource. That is called community resource. So that is called public park. Public park is also one example of community resources. So that all community means all people who are living on that area, you will use this park for public. So that is also considered as a public facility. So different public facilities are there, public health care also, public school also, that is also one kind of community resource. That means where not only single or individual person is claiming, that is actually community resource. National resource, I will explain later. National resource means we are living in our country India. So indirectly all the resources belong to the country India. So that resource is actually called national resource. Means within the nation which resources are present, all are called national resource. So that's why you know better that in our fundamental right to property was there, but that was removed. Okay. So because suppose your land is there, but government of India wants to construct one railway for the betterment of the society. So that time if you refuse, then why the other people will be deprived from this facility? So that's why the right to property is removed, and that's why actually national resource means all the resources indirectly belong to the national resource. Means within the political boundary, whatever the resources are present of a country, that is called national resource. And international resource. International means which resources are for all countries in the world. Just like the open sea, that is called international resource. So let's come to the point again. National resource. Our country is actually having three side water, so that's why it is called peninsular India. Okay. So this is actually coast is there. Okay, this is also coast is there. So our country's resource means all resources are there present in the country. Not only that, our country has coastal areas. So in that coastal areas, up to 22 kilometer, 22.2 kilometer, whatever the resources are there, all belongs to our resource. Means that is also come under national resource. So within the political boundary and in the oceanic, means in the coastal boundary, up to 22.2 kilometer is also coming under this national resource. Is it clear? So number 4 we are going now. Number 4, on the basis of status of development. On the basis of status of development, as you know, for the formation of resource, one important factor is the technology. Okay, as you know, don't know which resources are also present in our ocean bed. So that maybe in future with the development of technology, we can discover few new resources. So that's why the classification is just like two type. One is developed resource. Developed resources another is potential resource. Developed resource means which resources are developed, means with the present technology we are using it, and whose quantity is known. That means where the quantity is known. As you know that coal, okay, gold, these all are developed. How much coal is present, how much gold is present, we can actually estimate. So that is quantity is known, and the present technology is helping us to use it. So that is actually called developed resource. And potential, what is? Potential means that is not fully developed. Okay, we can develop it with the development of technology. So that's why potential resource again classified into two separate division. That is, one is stock, another is reserve. Reserve. Stock, what is? Stock means some resources are having some potentiality, but the present technology is not available to use it. So just like the water has the potentiality to produce hydroelectricity, but everywhere we cannot actually produce hydroelectricity. The Brahmaputra river is coming from Tibetan plateau, it has high velocity, but due to the lack of infrastructure development we are unable to produce hydroelectricity. So that is actually called stock, means the resources are in stock in the environment. Later when we develop our technology we can turn the object into a resource. So that is called stock. And reserve means we know how to use with the present technology, but we are not using that resource. For that actually the title you can see the reserve. Reserve means sometimes we also keep money in bank as a reserve, later we can use it. Just same way we can remember reserve resources are that resources actually which are present in the environment, but we are not using, we are keeping for future, later we can develop, later we can actually use it. Just like the reservoir, when we construct one dam, on that dam the water is actually stored, so for that water we can use for multi-purpose way. Okay, but we are not using, so that is actually a reserve resource. So there is a basic difference, just you make it. What is the difference between stock and reserve? Stock means we don't know how to use with the present technology, and reserve means we know how to use with this present technology. Okay, so there will be again an important question for this. What is the difference between developed resource and potential resource? Okay. Okay, thank you for this. So next class I will go through the development of resources and the resource planning and why resource planning is important in India. Okay.